Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're diving into ancient Buddhist wisdom, and you all wanted to explore the Vairocanābhisaṃbodhi Sutra, and wow, this text it's really something else.
It's definitely powerful stuff.
Yeah, it can be a little intimidating to approach, right? I mean, imagine trying to decipher like an ancient scroll in a language you've never seen before, but luckily you've got us to help kind of break it down and translate some of the core insights.
I'm happy to help shed some light on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fascinating piece of Buddhist literature.
So before we get into the specifics, I'm curious about the bigger picture here. We're talking about the English Tripita project, which is huge. This is a massive undertaking to translate a vast collection of Buddhist scriptures, and the sutra is just one piece of that puzzle. So what makes this text stand out? What makes it so important?
Well, the Vairocanābhisaṃbodhi Sutra, is sometimes called the Mahāvairocana Sutra, is basically like the heart of esoteric Buddhism. And it's not your typical, like list of Buddhist teachings or rules or anything like that. It's more like a guidebook, a manual for practice filled with rituals and visualizations and mantras.
Practices that are meant to lead to enlightenment.
Yeah, exactly. It's about experiencing those truths directly, not just reading about them.
And the English Tripika project is immense, right? They're translating an entire library of Buddhist texts. It's going to take generations, they say, and it makes you appreciate the dedication involved in making these ancient teachings accessible to a wider audience.
Absolutely. The Numata Center, they're the ones behind it. And they're doing amazing work, creating a bridge across time and language, which is really what we try to do here, too. Make this ancient wisdom relevant and accessible.
So we've established that this sutra is a big deal, especially in esoteric Buddhism, and you mentioned it centers around Vairocana Buddhas. So what makes this Buddha figure so central?
So Vairocana Buddha isn't just a historical figure in esoteric Buddhism. He's more like a cosmic Buddha who represents ultimate reality itself, like the very essence of everything.
So not a person in the traditional sense, but more like a force or an energy.
Exactly. And this sutra, this Vairocanābhisaṃbodhi Sutra, is all about how to tap into that cosmic energy, that ultimate reality. And it does this through very specific techniques. That's where you, the practitioner, the mantrin, as they call you in the sutra, you come in. It's about actively engaging with these practices to experience this wisdom for yourself.
So this isn't like a text you just passively read. It's about embodying the teachings and putting them into practice in a real, tangible way.
Yeah.
This is already shaping up to be a fascinating deep dive. It really does sound like a whole different way of thinking about spiritual teachings. So let's get practical here. What are some of the techniques that the Vairocanābhisaṃbodhi Sutra actually describes?
Well, one of the things that's really central to the sutra is the use of mandalas.
Mandalas. Those are those beautiful symmetrical designs you see in Buddhist art. I've always found those kind of mesmerizing, but I never really understood their deeper significance.
Yeah, in esoteric Buddhism, mandalas are way more than just, pretty pictures. They're actually powerful tools, and they're used for visualization and meditation, even for initiation rituals. Imagine them like maps, not of physical places, but like maps of cosmic realms, states of consciousness.
So you're not just admiring it visually. You're supposed to actually like journey through it mentally, connect with these different realms.
Yeah, exactly. It's a way of using that visual imagery to access deeper levels of awareness.
Wow, that's incredible. So speaking of tools for transformation, the sutra also talks about mudras. I've seen these hand gestures before in yoga and meditation. What's the significance of these specific positions?
Mudras are really interesting. They're like yoga for your hands. Each gesture is very specifically designed. It channels energy, evokes specific qualities within, and even helps you connect with certain aspects of the divine.
So it's not just like randomly contorting your fingers. There's a real science behind it.
There really is. Mudras are a way to focus the mind. They help you access subtle energies, and they can really deepen your practice. It's about aligning your physical and mental state to help you grow spiritually.
It's like each mudra is a key that unlocks a different part of your potential. So we've got these visual practices with mandalas, these physical practices with the mudras. What about sound? What about vibration?
That's where mantras come in?
Ah, mantras, yes. Chanting these powerful sounds, syllables. It's almost like a universal language of spirituality. What makes them so significant in the Vairocanābhisaṃbodhi Sutra?
In esoteric Buddhism, mantras aren't just words. They're more like vibrational tools, very carefully constructed to transform consciousness. And they can even lead to siddhi.
Siddhi, you mean like special powers?
That is one way to think about it, yeah. Although they're not necessarily like supernatural abilities, like you see in the movies or anything. It's more about refined states of awareness and insight. Think of them as the fruits of dedicated practice.
So less about bending spoons with your mind, more about really refining your inner world, your perception.
Exactly. The power of mantras is that they quiet the mind, and that allows you to awaken those deeper levels of awareness and ultimately facilitate real inner transformation.
Mandalas, mudras, mantras. It's like this Vairocanābhisaṃbodhi Sutra is giving us this whole toolkit for self-discovery and spiritual exploration.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
It really is incredible how all of these practices, the visual, the physical, and even the sonic elements, all come together to create this really powerful path for growth. Makes you wonder, what else is in this Vairocanābhisaṃbodhi Sutra? What else does it reveal about all of this?
Well, there's this one section that I found particularly fascinating. It's a whole chapter on what's called the Wheel of Letters.
Wheel of Letters. Okay, now that sounds intriguing. Tell me more.
So picture this. It's like a cosmic alphabet, but each letter isn't just a symbol. It's like a gateway to its own mantra and its own visualization. It's got its own unique power. It's almost as if the sutra is trying to decode the fundamental building blocks of reality itself.
So it's suggesting that language itself has like a deeper meaning and power that maybe we're not even aware of.
Exactly. And the text goes on to describe how visualizing these letters on different parts of your body can be a really powerful practice. It's almost like an ancient form of energy work, using these subtle vibrations of language to create transformation.
That's so interesting because we talk about, the power of affirmations and how certain words can evoke such strong emotions in us. I think we often really do underestimate the power of language.
Absolutely. And this reel of letters takes that idea to a whole other level. But it's important to remember that, like all the practices in this sutra, it really stresses ethical conduct and having the right intention behind it.
So it's not just about, saying the right sounds or visualizing the right images. It's about aligning your actions with that deeper sense of purpose.
Exactly. The sutra actually includes this whole section on something called prohibitory precepts. They're essentially guidelines for ethical conduct, especially when you're engaging with powerful practices like mantra repetition. And it really stresses that you shouldn't misuse these for personal gain or to harm others.
That makes a lot of sense. Like any powerful tool you have, to treat it with respect and responsibility and really understand the impact it can have.
Right. And as complex as the Vairocanābhisaṃbodhi Sutra might seem at its core, it's really offering this profound message about the power of focus, your attention, and your intention.
Which is something we can all relate to even if we're not, practicing these specific techniques. I mean, think about how challenging it is just to focus in our modern world with all the distractions and information overload and the pressure to multitask all the time. This idea of cultivating a still focused mind, it's such a powerful message even for us today.
It really is. These practices offer incredible insight into how to train your mind, much like an athlete trains their body. Just like an athlete has to focus their energy and attention to reach peak performance. These practices help us cultivate inner strength and clarity.
So even if someone listening to this deep dive, never actually performs a mudra or chants a mantra, they can still take away this important message about mindfulness and focus and intention.
Exactly. Those are qualities that can benefit every area of our lives, our relationships, our work, our overall well-being.
This deep dive has been incredible. We explored ancient scriptures, decoded some pretty esoteric practices, and really discovered how these ancient teachings still hold so much wisdom and guidance, even for us today.
It's been a pleasure exploring it with you.
Before we go, I want to leave you with this. The sutra actually says that just hearing these teachings can plant seeds for positive transformation. It makes you wonder, what if those seeds were to sprout? What kind of growth and change might unfold? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Vairocanābhisaṃbodhi Sutra. We'll see you next time.